It was an ordinary evening when the package arrived at Emily's doorstep. There was no return address, no markings of any kind, just a plain brown box, sitting ominously outside her front door. Curious, she brought it inside, setting it on the kitchen table with a mix of caution and intrigue. As she tore away the packaging, Emily's breath caught in her throat. Inside, nestled in a bed of old, yellowed tissue paper, was a doll. Its porcelain skin was flawless, but its eyes, those cold, glassy eyes, seemed unnervingly lifelike. They followed her, tracking her every movement, as if the doll was watching her. A chill ran down Emily's spine, but she dismissed it. After all, it was just a doll. She placed the doll on the mantle in her living room, intending to throw it out later. As the night wore on, the house, usually quiet and still, began to feel different. The air grew heavy, almost suffocating, and the silence was broken by a soft, barely audible sound, a faint tapping, like fingernails drumming lightly on wood. Emily tried to ignore it, brushing it off as her imagination playing tricks on her. But when she glanced back at the doll, she froze. It had moved. Only a few inches, but enough to be noticeable. The doll's head, which had been facing forward, was now turned slightly to the left. Its eyes, still glassy, were now fixed directly on her. The tapping grew louder, more insistent. Emily could feel it vibrating through the walls, pulsing in time with the quickening beat of her heart. Then, just as suddenly as it had started, the tapping stopped. The house was plunged into a deep, unnatural silence. Emily told herself it was just a trick of the mind, perhaps a figment of her growing anxiety. But when she reached out to adjust the doll's position, its eyes seemed to glint under the dim light, as if daring her to come closer. The lights in the room flickered, casting long, eerie shadows across the walls. The doll's shadow stretched and warped, growing larger, more distorted, until it seemed to fill the entire room. And then, in a voice that sent shivers down her spine, Emily heard a whisper, soft but unmistakable. "I've been waiting for you." Panic surged through her. The room seemed to close in around her, the walls pressing down, as if the house itself was alive, breathing in time with her terror. She backed away, her eyes never leaving the doll. But as she turned to run, Emily realized something horrifying. The door she had just walked through was now locked, and the only key was clutched in the doll's tiny porcelain hand. Trapped, Emily was left with one terrifying thought. This wasn't just a doll. It was something far more sinister, something that had been waiting patiently in the shadows. And now it had her exactly where it wanted. The next morning, Emily was gone. The package was gone too, the doll with it. All that remained was an empty mantle and a single solitary whisper that echoed through the now lifeless house. "I'll be back."